In Ethiopia and northern Kenya, almost 500,000 of the region's most isolated tribespeople are about to have their lives turned upside down, their traditional farming practices destroyed, their forests decimated. Catastrophic change, and most of them have no idea it's coming. The source of the problem lies with the new dam project on the Omo River that some claim is necessary to solve the country's national energy crisis. The BBC's correspondent Peter Grester has travelled the river's length from the dam site near its headwaters to its outflow in northern Kenya, and he sent us this report.
This is the Mercy, one of the most distinctive tribes on Ethiopia's Omo River. Their very survival, along with almost 500,000 other tribespeople, is now being threatened by a government project 500 kilometres away. The government, with Italian help, is building a dam. The massive Gilgel-Gibe 3 hydroelectricity project.
Even at this level, we're a little bit below the top of the dam wall. It's going to run about 600 metres from one side of the valley to the other, and it'll plunge 240 metres down into the valley below. When it's finished, it'll be the tallest dam of its type anywhere in the world.
We cannot afford not to have Gilgel-Gibe 3. If we do not have the 800 megawatts of electricity by 2011-12, all our development activities in this country will come to a screeching halt.
When it's finished, it will more than double the nation's generating capacity and solve a national energy crisis. But to fast-track the scheme, the electricity company broke the rules. Under Ethiopian law, large construction projects require an environmental impact analysis even before building. Instead, it published the study 2 years after construction began. Critics accuse Ethiopia's own Environmental Protection Agency of rubber-stamping the dam.
The probability is that it will damage the ecosystem dramatically, and I would prefer the principle of caution and prudence rather than gay abandon to consultants who are being paid to give the right message.
Lick is a big name, but I don't know what he based his arguments on. I don't think it is. I don't think he's right. My experts have also examined it. They have studied the environmental impact statements. They have visited the site. And I know them, and I don't know you, and I trust them, and I don't care for what you say.
The Ethiopian government also took a shortcut with the construction contract, handing it directly to Italian construction giant Cellini without a competitive tender. That's left them with a £320 million financial hole. The World Bank has refused to finance the dam's construction.
I think quite rightly we have an obligation not only to do the right thing, but to demonstrate very clearly that we're doing the right thing. And in order to do that, we have to go through these very meticulous processes to check all the aspects of any operation that we provide loan or guarantee to.
But those processes take time. The electricity company's head calls them luxurious preconditions.
Now, Africa is in the dark. If we have to use very luxurious preconditions, we couldn't develop any hydropower. Give us a choice. What's the choice we have? Should we stay in the darkness?
Can you understand why there's concern over the way that these things have been handled, why both the international financial institutions and the environmental critics are particularly concerned about the way this has been handled and why they smell a rat?
I think they are trying to smell a rat where there is none. The overall environmental impact of the project is highly beneficial. It increases the amount of water in the river system. It completely regulates flooding, which was a major problem. It improves the livelihood of people downstream because they will have irrigation projects. And it does not in any way negatively affect the Turkana Lake. That is what our studies show. So there is no rat here to smell.
But downstream of the dam, they simply don't believe the promises. Like all the tribes here, the Nyangatom struggle to feed a rising population from farmland and grazing that have been gradually shrinking. The dam threatens to choke off the river's flow, adding pressure to communities already fighting over land and water.
None of the disputes between the tribes would be anywhere near as serious if it weren't for the presence of so many automatic weapons. Each of the tribes is heavily armed, and none more so than the Nyangatom, who get theirs from over the border inside South Sudan. Combined, there's enough military hardware here to start a civil war.
The government says it has consulted all of the tribes, but during a meeting in the village of Kangakan, it becomes clear that they've heard only rumours, nothing official. Kai, the group's elder spokesman, is furious. The meeting comes to one chilling conclusion. The Nyangatom neither trust the government nor believe its promises of help. But change is coming, so can the tribes be a part of it? Oxford University academic Marco Bassi has been studying them for years.
The issue is how to empower this community to face this change in a way that they can manage. You know, how do you empower, you enable this community to deal with this change?
And
this is the question.
Will they be able to do that under the current circumstances?
Under the current circumstances, they will not be able to do that.
So what happens to them?
What I said before. So simply they will die.
The Omo River ends here in Kenya at Lake Turkana, the cradle of mankind. Lower rainfall is shrinking the lake and it's becoming increasingly salty. The water is barely drinkable now, and the fishermen worry the dam will lower the lake even more, making it unfit for either humans or livestock. But in theory, the Ethiopians will control the river flow and preserve the lake.
The problem is not the theory behind these ideas, it's the practicality. And there's something non-theoretical about starvation, increased poverty, and conflict involving killing over fighting for limited resources. That's the reality.
There is no human impact that is not felt by other species or by other people. Even when you walk, you kill many insects.
Peter Grester, BBC News, Ethiopia.
Extraordinary pictures there. We've all grumbled about an electricity bill that we didn't want to pay. But what do you do if you really can't afford to pay the rising costs? Do you go dark? Well, in the South African township of Soweto, they've turned to a novel approach. Call them underground electricians, a group of volunteers who are providing a free service of reconnecting homes that have been cut off by the electricity company. Here's Jonah Fisher.
Two of the world's most brazen and frequent lawbreakers are inside another house. Walter and Levy have been called in to help the latest casualty of South Africa's deepening electricity crisis. This is Christine Sanile, 78 years old. She struggles to support her 3 grandchildren on her $130 a month pension.
Every month.
I pay the electricity company a small amount every month, she says. But on Friday, while I was sleeping, they came and cut me off. She'd not been paying nearly enough. Accumulated over 20 years, her bill is for nearly $9,000. But help is at hand. Christine is just one of 40 houses which volunteers from the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee reconnect each week. From now on, Christine will get power but no bill. This is, of course, illegal, but the police don't seem to care, even when the crime is committed right in front of them.
We are fighting for what the government have said in 1994, that the people shall have all the resources free of charge. Water, electricity, schooling, and health. It's not illegal.
The electricians say the demand for their service is growing all the time. But there are those who are operating entirely outside the billing system. This is a distribution point for electricity, and these wires are taking electricity illegally to people's homes and to hostels nearby. The power company estimates that here in Soweto, more than half the people are getting their electricity entirely free of charge. Across all of South Africa, it's thought that 6% of electricity is stolen. Already lacking capacity, it's another headache for the state generator.
Money that we're not collecting is actually money that we should be using to actually assist us in building those power stations, which is why we're saying to people, stealing electricity is actually not, is actually a very big crime.
She's smiling, but for those who stay legal and keep paying, the reward is an even bigger bill. Electricity prices are going to rise by nearly 50% in each of the next 3 years.
Of the country's national energy crisis. The BBC's correspondent Peter Grester has travelled the river's length from the dam site near its headwaters to its outflow in northern Kenya, and he sent us this report.
This is the Mercy, one of the most distinctive tribes on Ethiopia's Omo River.
Not afford not to have Gilgil 3. If we do not have the 800 megawatts of electricity by 2011-12, all our development activities in this country will come to a screeching halt.
When it's finished, it will more than double the nation's generating capacity and solve a national energy crisis. Their very survival, along with almost 500,000 other tribespeople, is now being threatened by a government project 500 kilometers away. The government, with Italian help, is building a dam. The massive Gilgil 3 hydroelectricity project.
Even at this level, we're a little bit below the top of the dam wall. It's going to run about 600 metres from one side of the valley to the other, and it'll plunge 240 metres down into the valley below. When it's finished, it'll be the tallest dam of its type anywhere in the world.
In Ethiopia and northern Kenya, almost 500,000 of the region's most isolated tribespeople are about to have their lives turned upside down, their traditional farming practices destroyed, their forests decimated. Catastrophic change, and most of them have no idea it's coming. The source of the problem lies with the new dam project on the Omo River that some claim is necessary to solve